Woman should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made up a scandal about Trump being a Russian asset. And they banked on the intel agencies working with her to perpetuate this lie, and it appears they were only too happy to assist.
What happens when Megyn Kelly's cold-cutting accuracy clashes with a heritage based on strength, spin, and well-practiced comebacks? Complete burning. Hillary Clinton wearing political armor for decades. However, Megyn arrived with comedy that cut through all the facades and honesty that was as keen as a knife. The myth is brutally unraveled in real time without any pity or nonsense. This was a reckoning, not only a roast. And Hillary never noticed how quickly the attention changed.
We now know how Russiagate got started, and we know that it was all a lie started by the Hillary Clinton campaign. That the Hillary Clinton campaign realized she was in trouble because of her email scandal, which had broken in 2015 in the wake of Benghazi. We found these emails of hers that were weird, and people were like, what server was that on, and so on. And it created a problem for her all the way up.
Hillary Clinton brings a long history of mistakes that nonetheless still smack of entitlement with her to every public appearance, like the ghost of prior political scandals. Megyn Kelly did not enter that area of devastation by accident. She arrived with a megaphone, a spotlight, and a sarcastic flamethrower that was capable of melting Hillary's staged smiles. Because Hillary isn't even a politician anymore at this point. She is a political rerun that plays continuously in the background while acting as though she is still the main attraction.
Here's a part, I won't make you watch the whole, a part of the trailer for Gutsy.
Okay, here we go. We're hitting the road to shine a light on women who inspire us to be bolder and braver.
Leadership doesn't look one way. It's a giant rainbow.
You're not gonna break me down. You'll get worn out before I do.
Women who push us outside our comfort.
Finding the weak points didn't require Megyn to dig very far. Hillary's public record resembles a buffet of phony political personas served cold with deleted emails and extra sauce that was attributed to someone else. It's like watching a GPS readjust after crashing into a lake when Hillary talks about leadership. Megyn Kelly, who is merely the backseat passenger, is inquiring as to why anyone believed this driver should be licensed in the first place.
Is now pretending like she did not call Donald Trump an illegitimate president when he beat her in 2016. She's expressing her horror and how indignant she is over him challenging the 2020 election results. And okay, that's fine. You can say you don't like how Trump behaved after, whatever, his loss, January 6th, the whole bit. But you cannot, if you are Hillary Clinton, play the whatever challenge.
The way Hillary maintains her relevancy with the grace of someone duct taping a campaign from podcast appearances, university lectures, and patronizing interviews has a certain humor to it. Megyn didn't care to be courteous. She just struck the meticulously constructed illusion with a match and watched it fall apart before her. It is Hillary's leadership style that makes people long for quiet. She appears as if to remind us of all the political blunders we hoped had been eternally preserved.
You guys, but just for the record, let's play SOT 10.
I do think that he knows that he's an illegitimate president. I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did. And as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen.
She no longer runs for office. She persistently asks whether you want to subscribe to failure, Much like that window on your screen, every minute of that delay was handled by Megyn as though it were a comedy sketch in need of some punchlines. The question mark of the Clinton Foundation. A foundation is not what that is. It's a monument to lost chances masquerading as a humanitarian endeavor. And somewhere in the world, irony tripped over Hillary's words about integrity and fell face first into a stack of secret documents.
And as she got closer to Election Day, she decided to concoct 2 lies about Donald Trump to distract from her email scandal. She got the Steele dossier through this Fusion GPS company that her campaign paid, and she got this group CrowdStrike, which was the one responsible for the hack into that. That's the one that said that the Russians hacked.
Megyn Kelly didn't have to go overboard. The ridiculousness poured out like a clown car full of poor choices as she just held up the mirror. Like a slot machine, Hillary's moral compass spins and deflects every time it lands. She is the kind of person who, after destroying relationships, gives a speech titled, "Why I Should Have W," in which she lectures everyone about togetherness. How many times does history have to scream, "No thanks," before you listen? Megyn remarked, pointing to the smoldering debris. The fact that Hillary still believes she is despised, unrespected, and frightened like she's the boss in an antiquated political video game makes it especially comical. The graphics are glitching, the cheat codes are out, and the soundtrack consists solely of her blaming gravity, sexism, weather patterns, and Russia for her defeat. Like a hot knife through butter-flavored spin, Megyn cut through that bullshit. Hillary, a masterwork of self-branding with all the inconsistencies and none of the charm, comes after delusion. Do you recall the point at which she became relatable, as if years of slick avoidance and boardroom smirks could be erased by switching from a pantsuit to a flannel shirt?
Just weighed in publicly again on why she lost. And just in case you were thinking it was because she didn't go to Wisconsin, you are wrong. It is you, women of America. It is your fault. She now sits down for an interview and decides that the reason she didn't win is American females. That they didn't like that she wasn't.
That entire charade was made to look like a late-night skit by a group of out-of-touch interns thanks to Megyn Kelly. Hillary enters each interview with the attitude that she should be thanked for just being in the same era. And with a swivel of wit sharper than anything in Hillary's policy book, Megyn took that self-importance and turned it into a piñata while wearing a blindfold. She always uses a wink and a trépor while discussing transparency, much like a magician does when disclosing secrets. Megyn did not recoil. Hillary includes more footnotes in every speech than there are in a tax audit. Megyn giggled at the obvious and quickly skimmed the cliff oats. If the truth is there, it is quadruple encrypted under layers of plausible deniability, concealed behind a firewall and covered in red tape. In addition, she left a trail of political casualties behind. Employees, funders, coalitions, and whole areas that cast a single vote and never again. Political support is treated by Hillary as though it were a seasonal lease. Nothing says I care about the people like $250,000 speaking engagements for banks while tweeting about pay equality from a Gulfstream. So Megyn made that rental agreement into a joke.
Clinton decided to drop an op-ed in the New York Times today that's entitled, "How much dumber will this get?" And she uses Signalgate and the messaging by Pete Hegseth and Mike Walls and JD Vance and Tulsi and others on there as the jumping off point to talk about how dumb the Trump administration is. Some highlights. She called,
not to mention the constant pivoting. She will become a revolutionary warrior one day. After being a realistic centrist, she went on to become a feminist icon and, finally, a geopolitical specialist with the charisma of a frozen spreadsheet. That contradiction wasn't simply roasted by Megyn Kelly. She fastened it to a rocket and sent it into the realm of fantasy, where Hillary's supporters continue to think that 2016 was a typographical error. Hillary's campaign strategy is essentially a reboot and rebrand, but the slogan constantly seems like a throwback to the past, and the product never changes. Her shift in blame is like watching a slow-motion interpretive dance. Megyn didn't interrupt. After allowing the performance to take place, she gave it a critical evaluation with the joy of someone who has been anticipating the moment for years. The spotlight is worn out, the dance is outdated, and the steps have been practiced. Megyn simply provided a mirror, allowing the audience to determine who had truly lost their footing. Hillary's relationship with power is like a child trying to get one more cent out of an empty piggy bank. Megyn didn't even need to exert herself. On its own, the entire illusion of command faltered. Hillary has an amazing knack for creating separation, especially for someone who professes to be a unifier. You can sense the atmosphere change as soon as she walks on stage. Part bewilderment, part fatigue, all showmanship. Megyn Kelly ensured that everyone heard the joke by bringing a bullhorn to that awkward silence.
Are gutsy. And in case you just need a little bit more of a description, here's a part, I won't make you watch the whole, a part of the trailer for Gutsy.
Okay, here we go. We're hitting the road to shine a light on women who inspire us to be bolder and braver.
Leadership doesn't look one way. It's a giant rainbow.
The true humor is in the fixation on legacy. Hillary has only swept the pieces into a corner and charged admission to stand close to them, despite her desire to be known as the person who broke ceilings. When Megyn pierced the glass sculpture, she discovered nothing but outdated press releases and campaign slogans. Hillary wants history textbooks, but all she's providing are chapters that people skip and footnotes. Furthermore, we must not act as though she is above the struggle. She's in the thick of things, making sarcastic remarks from the sidelines like a political sports analyst who can't recall the rules. Megyn created a blooper reel out of that play-by-play. Every speech, tweet, and self-satisfied smile after avoiding yet another accountability gauntlet sounds like a sitcom without the laugh track. Megyn Kelly is simply sitting on the couch, pointing out the narrative holes while holding a glass of cold facts and raising an eyebrow. Hillary continues to appear as if she were the solution to a query that hasn't been asked since 2016. Passive-aggressive interviews and book tours that sell like paperweights now appear to be the foundation of her entire platform.
Politics for a minute. Hillary Clinton is back doing a late-night tour. She spoke with Jimmy Fallon, and she had some thoughts on this boiling down to Trump versus Biden again.
What do you say to voters who are upset that those are the two choices?
Get over yourself. Those are the two choices.
Yeah, love that.
Right? And
good.
You know, it's kind of like one is old and effective and compassionate, has a heart, and really cares about people. And one is old and has been charged with.
In addition to destroying the brand, Megyn Kelly revealed the business model's potency through a strategy of nostalgia, memory relevance, and volume. Every time Hillary tries to change the story, Megyn is there looking through the receipts and pointing to the fine. Because she has endured so much, there is a belief that Hillary is immune to criticism. Yes, provided that it encompasses years of strategic ambition, image management, and skillfully avoiding the full brunt of the repercussions. Like it was from a press kit, Megyn tore that notion to shreds. She didn't make fun of the difficulties. She made fun of the spin. Resilience and practice deflection are two different things. And since before smartphones were invented, Hillary has been living in the second act of that show. An assassination of Megyn's character was unnecessary. Hillary had already distributed the programs, directed the show, and written the role. Megyn only pointed out the unanticipated plot twist. It's like watching a renewed show that no one requested, with the same plot and more dramatic lighting, every few years as Hillary tries to reinvent herself. Megyn reminded everyone that if the ending is always the same, perhaps the story wasn't that fantastic in the first place. She also gave the camera team a behind-the-scenes look.
Joe and Kamala can win by 3 million votes and still lose. Take it from me. So we need numbers overwhelming so Trump can't sneak or steal his way to victory.
Okay. So why can't a smart guy like Maher know that? I mean, he genuinely seemed surprised to hear this from me. He doesn't, I think it's just his true hatred.
The irony is that Hillary still believes she owns the microphone. She pitches policy proposals like they weren't rejected seasons ago while standing on stages with that old-fashioned assurance. There was no need for Megyn Kelly to protest. She simply intervened and demonstrated what occurs when fashion attempts to supplant content. The applause is now merely echoes from campaign rallies that ended years ago. The audiences have changed, and the music is off-pitch. It's not quite over yet. Megyn has already shown us the blooper film, the behind-the-scenes video, and the script supervisor's face-palming in the corner. But Hillary is still in the spotlight trying to write another act. And the truth comes through in between the awkward photo shoots and the campaign memoirs. The future does not lie with Hillary Clinton. She is the perfect example of a joke. Megyn Kelly simply ensured that we were all seated in the first row. She continues to enter rooms as though fate had abandoned her, as though the presidency had been taken from her. Megyn Kelly, however, suppressed that fantasy. With the weight of a closet full of unsolved questions and 10 years of reality checks, she trampled on it. Hillary has always excelled at surviving scandals rather than resolving them.
Created this entire storyline around the Russians doing these terrible things in tandem with Donald Trump in order to, yes, hurt Trump, but also mostly to distract from her own scandal. And we also know that Obama knew. He knew about it. He was told by his intelligence agencies in the late summer and fall of 2016.
And Megyn didn't simply go over those scandals again. She brushed them off, ignited them, and transformed them into a political farce. Every iteration of Hillary has undergone beta testing by a group of consultants. Every attempt at a viral remark, every speech intonation, every haircut, everything is manufactured in a factory and released similarly to a focus group brand launch. Megyn, however, reduced it to the essentials. The person behind the branding has revised her story more times than she has directly responded to a query, and the roast is most effective there. In the meticulously crafted tale, Hillary is no longer feared. It has been studied, examined, and ridiculed. Megyn explained, with too many comebacks and too few answers, whatever mystery once surrounded her has long since vanished. A phoenix is not her. She is a rerun. Additionally, each time she rises, there is more stage smoke and less flame. The political landscape has changed. Fresh disasters, new drama, and new players. Hillary, however, is still attempting to try out for a position that has already been canceled. Megyn didn't need to yell. She simply pointed to the vacant spotlight as she made her way through the debris. The sting is that Hillary left a legacy from which she cannot break. The name is more of a joke than a promise. Furthermore, Megyn did more than simply demolish the myth. She reminded everyone of the reasons why the sequel isn't being purchased.